What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now today, we have the 5th installation of finding the right head coach. And today, based on popular demand and popular request, today we're going to be taking a look at Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. Now before we get into Matt Eberflus, his strengths, his weaknesses, and what he could bring to the Detroit Lions as a potential coaching candidate, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes only 2 seconds out every day to do so, and it helps the channel out more than you could know. So if you could do that, just take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe, I'd be greatly appreciative for it. Without any further ado, let's get right into talking about Matt Eberflus, the potential coaching candidate, and what his strengths and weaknesses could be for this Detroit Lions organization. Now, Matt Eberflus is kind of a popular name around the Detroit Lions. He's kind of a guy that, a little under the radar, not really necessarily as widely regarded as maybe Robert Saleh or Eric Bieniemy, but a guy nonetheless that a lot of Lions fans like, a guy that a lot of Lions fans are looking at, and a guy that a lot of Lions fans have suggested as the next head coach for this team. Now, Matt Eberflus has a lot of really good qualities for the head coaching job, and one of the biggest and one of the best things that he has, one of his best qualities, is his longevity and his quality as a head coach over the years. Now, Matt Eberflus has been a coach in a competitive level for a very long time. He worked at both the college and the NFL levels. He's been a positional coach. He's been a defensive coordinator. He's been an assistant coach. He's done a lot of different roles for a lot of different teams, and his longevity and quality over that amount of time is something I really like out of Matt Eberflus. He's a guy that, no matter where he is, no matter what you put him as, no matter what job he has or what job he has had in the past, he's been a guy that's done it to the best of his ability. He's been the guy that, has gotten the best out of his players. He's been a guy that has had a very long and successful coaching career dating back all the way to 1992. I mean, he had an 8-year stint with Toledo from 1992 to 2000 as an assistant coach, a DB's coach, and a linebackers coach all at different times. He then went on to Missouri, where he was the defensive coordinator there from 2001 to 2008. From 2009 to 2010, he was the linebackers coach in Cleveland. From 2011 to 2017, he was the linebackers coach in Dallas. And from 2018 to the present day of recording, he is the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. And that's, of course, where many people know him from, and that's where a lot of people are looking for his coaching candidacy. But looking at all of his jobs, looking at everything he's done, he's coached since 1992. That is a long time to be a head coach. He is one of the more experienced coaches in the NFL. He's one of the more experienced coaches that we're going to find in this coaching, class. This group of coaches looking for a head coaching job. He is going to be one of the more experienced guys in this list because he's coached for so long. He's experienced so much. He's tested so much, and he is an experienced and proven coach that always seems to do well in any situation. A lot of NFL teams and a lot of NFL fans like the flashy guy. They like the young, innovative mind. They like the Sean McVay, the Cliff Kingsbury. They like the young guys that can get some good, new juices flowing. They get, this all kind of new ideology. They get this new idea. They get, this new scheme, this new plan that the NFL has never seen before. And why that does occasionally work, right? You have your Sean McVays. You have your Cliff Kingsbury. You have your young coaches that do get you wins. You have your young head coaches that do innovate the NFL. They do bring new innovations. They do transform how the NFL game is played, and they have changed a lot in the NFL in the short time that they've been there. For every one of those coaches, though, you get 3 duds. I mean, for every Sean McVay, you get 3 Matt Patricias, right? For every young, up-and-coming head coach that you get that is successful, you get 3 coaches that fail. You get 3 coaches that ideas are never realized. That, they're coaching the team that just never seems to do well. They are the coach that fails and is known as a laughingstock. They are the coach that never fully gets to, see his idea come to fruition because he's just not that good of a head coach. I like a lot of the young head coaches, and I think that the young head coach could be a way to to go. But if you're looking for a little bit more stability, a little bit more of a proven veteran, a little bit more experience at the head coaching position and as a coach as a whole, Matt Eberflus is a much better guy because, again, he's been a coach for, a very long time. I mean, he's been a coach for 28 years. I mean, he's done a lot for a lot of teams, and everywhere he goes, he tends to be successful. He tends to get good people. He tends to win football games. He tends to have a good unit, whether he's the linebacking coach, the DB coach, or the defensive coordinator. His unit that he's responsible for always seems to be one of the best units on the football field, and that says a lot about his coaching style. That says a lot about him as a coach, that he has this longevity, he has this quality, not only in the longevity, but he just has a quality throughout his entire career. And another thing that I really like about him is that he is a linebackers coach. At his heart, his strength of coaching is the linebacker position, which is where the Detroit Lions struggled the absolute most. The Detroit Lions have some talent at linebacker. They got Jelani Tavai, who showed flashes in his rookie season. They have Jarrad Davis, who has shown flashes over his first 4 seasons, his first rookie contract with the Detroit Lions. He showed flashes over and over and over again, but he's never really been able to fully realize his potential. Jarrad Davis has never really been able to fully break out and become the first-round linebacker we drafted him to be. Jelani Tavai looks much worse. He looks like he's taken several steps back this year. There are probably several reasons for that, but if we were to bring in a guy like Matt Eberflus, we would be able to see Jarrad Davis reach his potential. We would be able to see Jelani Tavai reach his potential because everywhere Matt Eberflus goes, his linebackers are fantastic. I mean, he's coached and developed some of the best linebackers in the NFL. Guys like Jalen Smith, guys like Darius Leonard and Anthony Walker, all guys that he drafted and developed as their linebacker coach, and 3 of the better linebackers in the NFL. Obviously, we saw Darius Leonard when we played the Indianapolis Colts. We've seen Jalen Smith before. Anthony Walker, a little bit lesser known linebacker, but still up there every single year on the Colts roster, competing with Darius Leonard for the tackles, for the tackle leader, for the forced fumble leader, for the fumble recovery leader. He's right up there statistically with Darius Leonard every single year. It's not just young guys that he develops. He's worked with great linebackers like Sean Lee and DeMarcus Ware and other really, really good, franchise iconic players of the NFL that, he's worked with, he's developed, he's learned with, he's grown with, and those guys have all helped him develop future linebackers and get better and better and better everywhere he goes. If we were to bring in Matt Eberflus, you could bet on it that our linebackers would be improved. Even if we kept the same core of linebackers, you could expect the play to increase tremendously because everywhere that Matt Eberflus goes, his linebackers are really good. Everywhere he goes, he develops a young, very talented, very athletically gifted, very high IQ linebacker, that always seems to take over the NFL. Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Jalen Smith, when he was in Dallas, was one of the better linebackers in the NFL. Anthony Walker, as I said, a little bit less recognizable, but still statistically right there with Darius Leonard every single year on the Colts roster. DeMarcus Ware, fantastic linebacker. Got him towards the tail end of his career a little bit, but still got a very good player to learn and grow with. You got Sean Lee, one of the icons of the Dallas Cowboys organization for the better part of a decade, and a lot of his success can be related back to Matt Eberflus. Everywhere he goes, his linebackers are really, really good. And that's not just the linebackers that are good, but his entire defense is good when he's been the defensive coordinator. You go to his time in Indianapolis, and again, he developed some very good linebackers, but the rest of his team is still very good. I mean, the Colts are a top 5 defensive team this year, and a lot of that has to do with Matt Eberflus. The third thing I really like about him, as I just mentioned, he always has a good defense, whether it looks like it's going to be good or not, whether it looks good on paper or not. Matt Eberflus's defenses always seem to be top of the NFL. This season especially, I looked at the Colts roster when I was previewing the matchup many, many months ago, and I looked at it and I was like, well, they have some talent, right? They have some guys here and there that could be dangerous, but I don't see this team as a competitor. I don't see the Indianapolis Colts as anything special this season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And the Matt Eberflus proved me wrong, and it's been that way since he's been there. To me, if you go back and look at the 2018, 2019, and 2020 NFL roster for the Indianapolis Colts, you're not going to see a bunch of all-pro guys. You're not going to see a bunch of Hall of Fame caliber guys. You're not even going to see a bunch of Pro Bowl caliber guys necessarily, but for one reason or another, they always seem to click and they always seem to work. Every single year Matt Eberflus has been in Indianapolis, they've been top 10 in takeaways. They've been an average to above average defense. They've never had a bad defense in Indianapolis. They've never allowed more than the 16th most points in the NFL. They never allow a lot of yards. They never allow a lot of touchdowns. They always get a lot of takeaways. Matt Eberflus's defenses always play better than they look like they're going to. And if you can take a team on paper, transition that to the field, transition it to the actual football field, watch them play, and say the team on the field is better than the team on paper, that is the sign of a good head coach. And everywhere Matt Eberflus has been, that has been the case for his teams. Everywhere that Matt Eberflus has gone, that has been the case. Where his players, his individual talent on the roster and on paper might not seem great, right? If you look at the Colts roster in the preseason, you have Xavier Rhodes coming off a down season. You have an injury-riddled safety in Malik Hooker. You have, Kenny Moore, who's an undersized cornerback. You have, you have Rocky Sin, who's a second-year corner who hasn't really proven anything. You have a couple guys up front that aren't, anything recognizable outside DeForest Buckner. And, you look at that roster on paper and you say, that could be decent. You have some good pieces, but there's no way you're going to do anything special. And then the Colts go out and do something special. The Colts go out and they have a top 10 defense. They've a top 5 defense in the NFL. The Colts go out and thanks to their great defensive efforts, they're a 10-4 football team sitting at the top of their division. Matt Eberflus always seems to get the most out of his players. And again, if you can look at a team on paper and then look at that same team on the field and say the team on the field is better than what we saw on paper, that is the sign of a very good head coach. And Matt Eberflus has done that over and over and over again, and we know we struggle with that in Detroit. Detroit fans this year saw this team as very good on paper. We got Jeff Okudah and Desmond Trufant and Amani and Justin Coleman and Mike Ford and this guy and that guy in the defense. This defense on paper looks loaded, and then we go out and we're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You flip that over to the Indianapolis Colts. They got Xavier Rhodes, Kenny Moore, Malik Hooker. Who was that defensive lineman, 96, that got a couple sacks on Stafford when we played him? Not necessarily household names, right? Not necessarily icons of the NFL or super recognizable players in the NFL. But, at the end of the day, the Colts have a better defense than the Lions, even if the Lions on paper look to have more talent than the Indianapolis Colts. And, with that being the case, that is why I love Matt Eberflus. That is why he is one of my top 3 coaching candidates right now for the Detroit Lions, is because everywhere he goes, he develops talent, he gets talent, he wins football games. His responsibility, whether he be the offensive or whether he be the defensive coordinator or a positional coach, whatever he is responsible for is generally the best unit on the football field. And overall, just his longevity, his success, and the fact that he always gets his players to play better than they should is a good quality and is a good representation of him as a coach. Having him be the head coach next season would help the Lions tremendously. He's not my favorite coach. Matt Eberflus is not my favorite coach. I would still take Robert Saleh over him. I would still take PJ Fleck over him. There are still a couple of guys that I would take over Matt Eberflus, but Matt Eberflus, doing the research, watching the Colts, looking at what they do well, looking at what they've done successfully, he is a top coaching candidate for the Detroit Lions. He should be a top coaching candidate, and he will be a top coaching candidate for the next couple of months as they continue to interview and continue to bring in more coaches and more candidates and more people to fill in for this head coaching job. Matt Eberflus will be right there in the mix, and if the Lions find a way to get him, if they can't get PJ Fleck, if they can't get Robert Saleh, they better be doing their best to get Matt Eberflus, because he is one of the top coaching candidates right now that is going to be available this season. And if the Detroit Lions can find a way to bring him into this organization, I have no doubt in my mind that the linebacker play will improve. The defensive play overall will improve. This defense will look very good as a unit, and not just on paper, but on the field. This team will get better. This team will make the playoffs, and Matt Eberflus could be the guy in Detroit to finally be the guy to put us back in playoff contention continuously year after year after year. Now, with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. If you are new to the channel, as I said in the beginning, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes only 2 seconds out of your day to do so, and it helps the channel out more than you could know. If you could do that, just take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe. I'd be greatly appreciative for it. But with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Thank you all for watching. Bye, guys.